I am Cam Rogers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Be sure to let me know what you think about the show. Let's break down the latest surrounding the Urban Meyer scandal. So some new nuggets of information coming through over the weekend. In case you missed it, you were vacationing, you're with the family, some cookouts, grilling, all that stuff. So Ohio State recently released a statement on the completion of the investigation into Urban Meyer, noting that a decision on Meyer will come down within 14 days. So we will have the fate of Urban Meyer within 2 weeks. Now, Meyer issued a statement on Friday saying that he, quote, failed when he denied knowing about domestic violence allegations against one of his former assistant coaches, Zach Smith. Now, Meyer issued that statement when Smith was giving an interview to ESPN. And by the way, Meyer said last week he knew nothing about or maybe a week and a half ago, knew nothing about the 2015 complaint or any other domestic violence issues involving Zach Smith. So what Urban Meyer admitted to was lying, in essence. And he said, quote, I take that responsibility very seriously, and any suggestion to the contrary is simply false. So he said that he reported the incident to his superiors. So he's like, okay, well, I took care of this. I am not to blame. Here you go, Gene Smith, AD of Ohio State. Go ahead and deal with this now. That's basically what Urban Meyer did, as you see some of the pictures that Courtney Smith released to Brett McMurphy, who originally reported this story. Damages to her body, cuts, blood, and all of this stuff. Now, Ohio State recently placed Urban Meyer on paid administrative leave. This as it conducts an investigation after Courtney Smith said several people close to Meyer knew of the 2015 domestic violence allegations. And the original statement issued by Meyer was basically, okay, being on leave during this inquiry will facilitate its completion. So the school has no timetable as we stand in terms of the investigation, at least in terms of the exact day that we will know. All we know is within 14 days. Could be tomorrow, could be 3 days from now, could be 14 days from now. So Zach Smith, like I mentioned, recently sat down with ESPN and did this interview. And the timing, by the way, from Urban Meyer's statement, very interesting in that basically they came out at the same time, the interview and the statement. And Smith said that he denied ever hitting his ex-wife, Courtney. Here is Zach Smith's side of the story.
He looked at me and said, I swear to God, Zach, if I find out you hit her, you're done, you're fired. And I said, okay, I understand, Coach, I didn't, I'm fine.
And you told him there were some pictures where she was bruised?
I didn't say that. I said, if anything that happened to her, I told the police, anything that happened to her body was a defensive action to remove myself from the situation. I didn't tell him there was pictures or anything like that. I just told him that anything that ever happened to her was never offensive, never aggressive.
And after you talked to the police, what conversation did you have with Urban?
I just confirmed what went on in the meeting with the detective and how we went through everything they have, and I told him my side of the story, and it seemed to go really well, and that I was going to have my attorney, Dennis, follow up, and he followed up several times, and the Powell police, the detectives just said, yeah, I don't think there's anything here, so I don't think we're going to move forward.
Okay, so there's Zach Smith giving his side of the story. I'll give you my reaction in a matter of seconds here, but first, you're watching the Cam Rogers Show presented by AutoList. If you're looking for a new or used car out there and you're tired of browsing a million sites, check them out. Autolist.com is the way to go, or download their top-rated mobile app for iPhone or Android today. So what Zach Smith is essentially saying is that any physical bodily harm enacted on Courtney Smith was merely Zach trying to remove himself from any sort of threatening situation. And we showed the pictures. He's saying that the bruising, the blood and all that was simply from Zach Smith trying to restrain Courtney, get her away from him, and so Zach Smith could remove himself from the situation. And that just can't be true. That just can't be a fact. I mean, you look at these pictures here, and that is not the visual of somebody just trying to remove themselves from a situation. We're talking about an former assistant coach, a stocky guy, right? I mean, if you're Zach Smith and you're trying to avoid a situation, run away. Like, it's that simple. But you have these pictures that are surfacing here and these text messages that show some damning stuff about Urban Meyer and the orbit around Zach Smith during his time at Ohio State. This is just a cloud of negativity over the Ohio State football program, a program that is supposed to be very promising this season. Dwayne Haskins, going to be a good player for them. Nick Bosa could be the number 1 overall selection in 2019 for the NFL draft. J.K. Dobbins, too. So, Urban's statement came out during the Zach Smith interview, like I said, and tells us the following. A, Urban lied. B, he's shifting the blame to his superiors at Ohio State, more specifically AD Gene Smith, it would seem. C, he's not expecting to get fired, or at least he's going to refuse to step down, because in that statement that he recently released on Friday, he said he looks forward to rejoining the team soon. That tells me that Urban Meyer ain't going to let this go. Like, he's not going to step down. He's not going to resign on his own terms. It's either Urban Meyer is the head coach of Ohio State football in 2018, or it's Urban Meyer gets fired. But it ain't going to be Urban Meyer resigns. I mean, it sure sounds like he is going to fight this to the core. And so you just go back to the fact that, well, Urban Meyer didn't know how to answer the questions about the domestic violence allegations during Big Ten Media Days. And we're talking about the second best college football coach in the country right now. The best college football coach in the country, not named Nick Saban. And he can't answer these questions? I mean, I just think it's ridiculous as you take a look at the timeline here, where we have to go back all the way to 2009, where Zach Smith was originally accused of domestic violence. There are 2 separate instances of this. And then just recently, this month, Meyer accused of lying, put on leave, and then admits to lying. So it's a messy situation here for Ohio State football. Should Ohio State fire Urban Meyer? Time for you guys to weigh in. Type F for fire, type K for keep. A lot of differences in opinions out there. I actually been reading a lot of comments from the Go Blue faithful out there, Michigan football fans, like, no, we want Urban to be the coach because we want to beat Urban Meyer. We don't want to beat the second in command, if you will. And as we stand, Ryan Day is the interim head coach, the fill-in guy for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, that could change if Urban Meyer isn't ultimately fired. But the latest is that Ohio State has launched an investigation into Urban Meyer, creating this external group here to facilitate this investigation, and we should have a decision within 14 days. So by the time that August 20th comes around, we will know the fate of Urban Meyer at Ohio State. So keep that in mind, folks. This guy could be without a job very, very soon. We shall see. All right, folks, wrapping up the program, The Cam Rogers Show. And you may be wondering what I'm wearing. Beautiful Mizzen and Main shirts, guys. Get it done. Comfortable.af is the website. No ironing needed, no dry cleaning needed. It's a beautiful thing, and we do appreciate them supplying us with some swag here on the program.